Hi, everybody. Oh, pinch me. I'm here at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. True honor. And it's also an honor to be with David Wertheimer, who is the Executive Director of the Family Homeless Services, correct?
Well, Deputy Director of Pacific Northwest, but yes, I work on the family homelessness strategy.
Okay. You guys, obviously, you have a top-level view. What's happening? What's happening in homelessness? I mean, homelessness has changed over the last 20 years, and I think it's actually changed in the last couple of years. What have you seen that's good and bad?
Well, on the bad side, we certainly saw the damage that the recession did to our efforts to end homelessness, and particularly for families as well as for individuals, the recession was devastating, and recovery has been slow for those who are at the bottom of the socioeconomic pile, and so we talk about homelessness as a lagging indicator of recovery. We're still really struggling with the impacts of the recession on homelessness. On the upside, I think that more and more folks are beginning to think really strategically and catalytically about how to end homelessness, and that it's not just a question of managing a homelessness problem, but actually ending homelessness. And I think that that is fully within our reach if we think about the issues systemically. That is, in terms of family homelessness, which is what I work on, the issue really needs to be seen as something that involves multiple systems. There are many, many different public and private sector systems that all touch homeless families, whether it's housing and services, which you think of first, but education, workforce training, child welfare, veteran services, all of those systems are touching homeless families. And very often, those systems are not doing it in an integrated, careful way. So in fact, we have resources that could be put to better use than we're putting them now in the public sector and the private sector if we thought together about how to align what we're doing with the families that we touch to make solutions happen that matter for each family.
Right. Basically, you're saying communication, because we have this continuum of care, and it's rare that we even talk to each other. And there is technology already because brands and businesses talk to each other and be able to navigate that. It's a cultural change.
It's a cultural change, and I think that we have leadership at the national level, at the state level in many states, and at the local level in communities across the country where this is starting to happen. For example, to have Barbara Poppy and her Interagency Council on Homelessness actually have 5 cabinet secretaries from 5 huge different bureaucracies all sit down together to say, we need to think together how our resources can be integrated to end homelessness. That's the way it's going to happen.
Your main focus is the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
And you've been the driving force I remember talking to Colin, that you guys have implemented some strategies and some models that actually the country is following. What do you see that's cutting edge that you're driving that other people could follow?
Well, I think the first place to start is, as you often say, to listen and to hear the stories of families and the stories of what families who are homeless tell you they need to recover. And I think that that led us to a 5-component approach. The first is what we call coordinated entry, which is to say, when a family hits the skids, you need to figure out quickly what that specific individual family actually needs to stabilize and recover. The second is, if that family is not yet homeless but is on the skids and heading that way, how do you prevent them from entering the system in the first place? The best thing we can do is to keep people out of the homeless system, to keep them housed in their own housing, in their own communities, their kids going to their own schools, keeping their jobs if they have them, etc. The third is rapid rehousing for those families that do become homeless. To put that family as quickly as possible into permanent housing, the lease in their name, with opportunities to help them over time begin to pay the rent. The fourth is what we call tailored programs and services. The right service at the right time for the right family for the right duration. It's kind of the dosage question if you're thinking of it as kind of an intervention. What does each family uniquely need? And then the fifth and critically important component is linkage to economic opportunity. How to help wage earners and those families that are homeless find pathways not just to a minimum wage job, flipping burgers at a fast food joint, but something that they can consider for themselves a career that has a pathway to wage progression, to opportunity, which means education, workforce training, new skills, college degrees, etc. All of that is within reach or should be within reach of every family in America.
Yeah. And do you see us going there? Do you see us, because I agree with 300% everything you say. Do you see the movement of us going there?
I do. And I think when you see systems sit down together at the table to say, how do we make this happen? To see workforce development board members and family homelessness providers and housing and service providers who've never met before, sitting down at the same table saying, oh, we're actually seeing the same families, Mark. Gee, how could we do this better if we work together?
Right.
That's
family shelter hop and go around and
exactly.
It's many of you have heard me say this so many times. I apologize, but that's why I support like Home for Good, because they're getting, you know, the religious community, the faith-based community, I should have said, the faith-based community, politicians, government, nonprofit, and businesses. And we're not all going to sing Kumbaya. Right. We're not going to all agree, but homelessness is too big for any one of us to be able to tackle on its own. So we need to share resources and information.
Well, and that, you know, the point you're making there, which is really important about not necessarily having to sing Kumbaya, ending family homelessness is certainly, from my perspective, a moral imperative, something we have to do because we can do better in this country. It's also an economic imperative. The amount of money that we're spending, that we're wasting on keeping individuals and families homeless, that could be redirected at much more efficient uses of resource, lower cost, to house families and to move families forward towards their own economic self-sufficiency to the point that they are the taxpayers that are supporting the next wave of services to families that are homeless. That's what we need to be doing, because that not only will save lives, but it makes much wiser use of resources.
Right. Save lives and save money.
Exactly.
And I wish we could, especially now, it's not necessarily just family homelessness, there's a big movement of criminalization that goes around the country, which just actually escalates costs.
It does.
It doesn't really rehabilitate anybody, but it escalates cost. And I know it's an easy fix. Let's get them out of the park. Let's get them out of the mall. Let's pass laws. Let's do this. But it costs money. And if people could just see that there's some alternative solutions that would not only save lives, but save money and get the people out of the park and the mall and everything else.
If all we're going to do is manage homelessness, we will carry that expense to the end of time.
Wow.
If we actually end homelessness.
There's a tweet.
Right? You not only do it more efficiently and effectively, but you help save lives.
Yeah. So, I could talk to you all day.
Thank you, Mark.
What is your Twitter for everybody to follow?
Oh, it's at David W. Seattle.
And throughout the day, he... great information. I probably retweet you more than anybody because the stuff that you're putting up there is really great. So
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, Mark. Thank you.